Jennifer, you ready? I'd like to call the Harnett County School Board November 4th regular scheduled meeting to order at this time. Mr. Powell, will you do our invocation, please, sir?
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many divine blessings upon us. Father, we thank you for your goodness, your mercy, and your grace. And we just praise you and thank you for just all that you've done for us and all that with which we've been blessed. Lord, be with us tonight with the election coming up tomorrow. Father, we pray that all goes well there. And Father, we pray that you bless us during the exercises of this meeting. Give us wisdom, Lord. Help us to make the decisions that will be proper for the students, teachers, and parents of Harnett County Schools. We humbly ask these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Abante, will you lead us in a pledge of allegiance, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Motion to approve agenda as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Howell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. All right, moving along to the recognition of staff who assisted in Buncombe County.
Chairman Jaggers and members of the board, good evening. I have the honor this evening to present to you a group of true superstars in our district. These professionals are honestly some of the best of HCS, and I'm grateful to call them teammates on our student services journey. A few weeks ago, at the request of the superintendent, Harnett County Schools sent the largest contingent of student services personnel from the Sand Hills region to Buncombe County Schools to assist with the reopening of 45 schools. What our staff was able to do was nothing short of amazing. By teaming up with Buncombe County staff and essential personnel, our team, along with the other school districts present, were able to deliver much assistance and supplies to those in the area who needed it most. Their servant leadership has not gone unnoticed, and we thank them for being Harnett County ambassadors out west. Tonight, we want to honor the Buncombe 13, as I call them in student services. 10 of them are present tonight, and I'll ask the superintendent to join me as we pass out these certificates to these wonderful professionals. All right, so we'll begin with Mrs. Allison Cassie. Mrs. Jessalyn Padone. Mrs. Alexa Lewis. Mrs. Katia Whitehead. Mrs. Natalie McCurley. Mrs. Wendy Whittington. And I have to tell a quick story. This actually actually was kind of generated. Ms. Whitton and I had a conversation a few weeks ago before the superintendent actually said, hey, I think this is what we want to go do. Mrs. Whittington sat me in the cafeteria at Star and said, this would be a great idea if we could go out west and help the people. And she was a prophet, so it worked out very well. Mrs. Tiffany Reed. Mrs. Kimberly Baker. Ms. Lakeisha Shervins. Twin. And Ms. Katie Stevenson. Did I miss anybody? I think we're good. Thank y'all again so much.
All right, recognition of Miss Lori Perry. Who's doing that?
Miss Jones. I didn't see you back there. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, hello everyone. I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm very proud of Miss Lori Perry and what she does for our students every day. If you ever find yourself at Harnett Central and you would like to have a bright spot in your day, you need to go to Miss Perry's classroom. She calls them her lovelies, and they are absolutely lovely, and they make my day. I tell her every day I wish I could just get down there for 5 minutes every day because it just always puts a smile on my face. She was recognized by First Bank, the out-of-this-world educator, and it is very deserving, and I'm glad that the board chose to honor her tonight. So thank you so much, Ms. Perry, for everything that you do for our children.
And Miss Perry received great recognition from First Bank, so she has been recognized by them, and what was it, 10 other educators?
There were 529, and there were only 10 chosen
Right.
out of North and South Carolina.
North and South Carolina, that's correct.
Pretty awesome.
One, two, three.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
And I think I have the next one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you do, sir.
If you'll come up with me. It's a bit too complicated.
More than 2 motions.
It is my honor tonight to recognize Mr. Jaggers, Mr. Eddie Jaggers, as I would know him, officially Mr. Duncan E. Jaggers, but Eddie and I go way back, just because I've been around a long time, but Eddie actually played on my basketball team a little bit when he was in 8th grade years ago, and was an excellent athlete on top of everything else. But he has served for 8 years on the Board of Education. A number of those years as our chairman, and it has been our pleasure to have him lead our board, and it's my pleasure tonight to thank him for his time served. And Ms. Thompson is going to read a proclamation to Mr. Jaggers, which we have here.
Resolution of commendation. Whereas Duncan E. Jaggers has served the Harnett County Board of Education for 8 years, whereas that service to the Harnett County schools has been exemplary in nature and excellent in quality, he believes public service is a calling and emulates this belief in his efforts daily. Whereas Duncan E. Jaggers, as a member of the Harnett County Board of Education, has had a direct impact on the children of Harnett County schools through selfless service during the 8 years. Whereas Duncan E. Jaggers demonstrates a strong commitment to the education profession and has been a strong advocate for schools in Harnett County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Harnett County Board of Education does extend to Duncan E. Jaggers this resolution of commendation in recognition of his years of outstanding service, sacrifice, and numerous contributions to the endeavor of educating the students of Harnett County schools. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be permanently preserved in the official minutes of the Harnett County Board of Education. This is the 4th day of November, 2024. Joey W. Powell, Vice Chair. W. Brooks Matthews, Secretary.
In honor of his time wielding the gavel, we have a little plaque for him that we will send with him as well. It says, presented to Duncan E. Jaggers in recognition of your vision, dedication, and steadfast commitment to the students and staff of Harnett County Schools. We extend our deepest appreciation for your 8 years of distinguished service to the Harnett County Board of Education, 2024. I recognize your family.
Yeah, the whole front row with my family. They haven't told me about it. They
And you was a recognized rest of your family?
Yes, the first one is Gerald, this is Jackie's father, my father-in-law, my brother Jonathan, his lady is Patrice, of course my wife, then my younger sister Sarah, and my older sister Stephanie.
Thank you.
If y'all want to sneak out, I'm I didn't mean the whole crowd to go, y'all. Thank y'all for coming, though. Thank you, sir. I have to do it one day soon. All right, we're going to go to the public comment section now. Each month, part of at least one regularly scheduled board meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board through public comment. A sign-up sheet will be available for any individual or group to indicate their desire to address the board. The chairperson will decide the amount of time devoted to public comments. The superintendent shall develop additional procedures to ensure that public comment sessions proceed in an efficient and orderly manner. Board members will not respond to individuals who address the board except to request clarification of points made by the presenter. Except in cases of emergency, information received during presentations will not be acted upon at the time it is received. It will take a unanimous vote of the board members present to take action on the presentation considered to be of an unusual or emergency nature at the time it is presented. Disruptions by any persons or persons of public meeting will be subject to action in accordance to GS 143-3/1817. If the board does not hold a regular meeting during the month, the board will not provide time for public comment at any other meeting held during that month unless a majority of the board votes to allow public comment at the meeting or unless the purpose of the meeting is a public hearing. You have to complete the sign-up sheet before the time limit runs out before the meeting. We just ask if you speak that you do not attack any individual teacher, student, or member of the board or staff. You can talk in general if you have an issue. So the first person I have is Jillian Dean. If you'll come up, state your name and where you're from. Just the town you're from, not the whole address.
I'm from Lillington, not even 3 blocks away from here. My daughter is a 5th grader at Lafayette Elementary School, and I'm speaking on my daughter's behalf and my behalf. Thank y'all all for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to advocate to adding on a middle school to Lafayette's elementary school. Basically, my daughter has a learning disability, and study shows that children with learning challenges can benefit from the constant structural environment that year-round school provides. A year-round school system, students have a chance to have more frequent check-ins with their teachers and support staff. These regular interactions can show teachers if there's an issue sooner rather than later, so it can be addressed and hopefully fixed or worked upon. Teachers can assess the student's progress, provide more individual support, and tailor their approach to each child. Also, the reduced anxiety and stuff for children. My daughter did a non-year-round school before, and during the summer, I swear, the first 9 to 18 weeks of the school year was just getting her to remember the stuff that she had learned last year. So that takes valuable time away from the classroom. A year-round calendar keeps children and students in a familiar rhythm, balance, and reduces anxiety, which helps them manage the school demands. Shorter breaks allows for students to recharge without extensive time away that can lead to setbacks. But in closing, basically, year-round school, middle school, we all know the benefits of the elementary school part of it, but in middle school, it's even more crucial time for kids. So I feel like it is an adaptive education system that we already have here in Harnett County, and I really think we ought to expand it to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Especially, it just has so many benefits. Thank y'all all for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you'll hang around, you'll see that it's on the agenda here a little later on. Okay. This thing moves on its own, Brooks. Moving down to the superintendent updates, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, just want us to remember Mr. Godfrey. His wife had had a medical procedure today. Mr. Godfrey did indicate later in the day that everything went well, so we want to keep he and his wife in our prayers. Also, if I hadn't already sung Mr. Jaggers' praises enough, it is his belated birthday as of yesterday, so we'll give him kudos for that, November 3rd being his birthday. So thank you for the opportunity that I have to share just a little bit with you this evening. Since our last regularly scheduled meeting in October, our school and central office administrators have continued to focus on quality instruction and student achievement and how we could support our classroom teachers. Our building administrators have been working to support our teachers through formal classroom observations, through informal classroom walkthroughs, and our teachers have been focused on working hard to meet the needs of their students. Been very encouraged to see how everybody has worked to step up their game, if you will, or roll up their sleeves and really accept the challenge that we have to bring our school system up to the level of achievement that we know it can reach. Of course, tomorrow's an optional teacher workday, so we can support our elections and the process that our local Board of Elections will lead for our county. I would also like to say that even though I'm a staunch advocate to not use school sites for early voting, that the complaints that came to our office this year were minimal from what I have experienced in the past. So I commend our Board of Elections officials as well as our school principals for managing that. I still believe though that 17 days of early voting at school sites is a little bit much, and we'll continue to advocate for changing that policy. Of course, this month is Veterans and Military Family Month. We'll, of course, be celebrating Veterans Day on November 11th. And in addition to that, November 18th through the 22nd will be is designated as Education Week, with November 20th Education Support Professionals Day and November 22nd National Parental Involvement Day. Please remember our school board's annual meeting in Greensboro, November 17th through the 20th, of which 3 of you are signed up to attend that. As you know, it takes the place of the school law conference that was canceled in Asheville, and a number of those law sessions will be held there, I'm told, so I think it will be very beneficial. Of course, this is November, so Thursday the 28th will be the Thanksgiving holiday, so we'll observe Thursday and Friday as holidays. And you'll also remember the Wednesday before, which was an optional work day. We made an optional and/or telework day. Of course, people can still go in and work on site if they would like on that Wednesday. Our next board meeting will be December 2nd at 6 p.m. And of course, December brings in Christmas festivities and Christmas parade times in our local municipalities. Ms. Johnson asked me to ask you to let her know if you would like to participate in any of the parades. I have the dates here. December 3rd is the Coates Christmas Parade. I believe it's 7, was that? Yes, which is 7 o'clock. And then December 7th is the Anger Christmas Parade at 10 o'clock in the morning and the Dunn Christmas Parade at 5:30 in the afternoon. The Irwin Christmas Parade will be on December 2nd, the night of our board meeting, so that will be a conflict that I think we've had in the past, but if any of you would wish to participate in that and want us to look at changing that December meeting, that certainly is a possibility, so I'll just throw that out there for your discussion, should that be something you would like to discuss. So, Mr. Chairman, unless there are some questions for me, that concludes my report this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Matthews? Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Moving along to auxiliary services, Mr. Pearson.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, good evening. Several updates for you on some lingering construction projects that you're quite familiar with. Happy to report that Johnsonville has received their full certificate of occupancy. Cafeteria is fully operational, and that project is done from a construction standpoint. Definitely want to recognize Ms. Sarah Brown and her team for an extended amount of time of prepping meals in another place and getting them there and making sure that that happens in a timely manner to keep the kids, focused on learning. But it's quite an operation. I know she is happy and her team is happy that they are now serving out of the cafeteria at Johnsonville. Renovations to the flat top building behind the old boardroom building are complete, and Star Academy will be moving in there with their high school students over the next few days, as well as several members of Mr. White's team, and they're looking forward to that space. These stairs on the press box at Western Harnett High School should be installed in the next 2 weeks, so we have received word they are fabricated and waiting to be installed. The press box at Harnett Central High School is operational, but we are waiting on the county for water and sewer, so they are able to use it, just not use the restrooms quite yet. And then with the additions on our elementary schools that we were able to complete over the last few weeks or few years, we have been able to eliminate 23 mobile classrooms across the district, and have been able to surplus those and move those on to greener pastures somewhere else without us. So, from a transportation standpoint, we are currently have a bid out for new GPS software. This is something that Mr. Parker is very passionate about, that we can improve our communication to parents and our routing, so they have notification of that bus coming on a cold morning, a rainy morning. It's a very valuable thing, and we're looking to make some improvements in that over what we currently have. We're also conducting interviews for another mechanic at the bus garage, so that will be a valuable asset when we get it hired. Athletics-wise, playoffs are underway for the fall sports. We did have multiple of our schools make the playoffs. Harnett Central's volleyball and tennis team both advanced to the second round. We anticipate two of our football teams will make the playoffs, as well as 2 of our soccer teams. Those playoffs were pushed a week because of the storms in the western part of the state, so it's delaying things a little bit. And definitely want to congratulate Peyton Black from Harnett Central High School. She finished 6th place in the state cross-country meet this past weekend. And congratulations to Ethan Rich from Western Harnett High School. He won the state championship in cross-country. His time of 15 minutes and 26 seconds is under 5 minutes per mile over a 3.2 mile race. So that's just incredible. But to have a state champion, individual state champion, hasn't happened in a while, so certainly congratulations to Ethan, and we look forward to trying to have him at the December board meeting and recognize him for that. Unless you have any questions, that concludes my update.
Any questions for Mr. Pearson? Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Moving along to curriculum and instruction, Ms. Ferguson.
Good evening, Chairman Jaggers and members of the board. As Mr. Matthews shared, we are strongly focused on instruction across the district, and with only 6 weeks left in the first semester, we have been very busy. We have held PLCs for our principals, our APs, instructional coaches, ESL teachers, CTE teachers, and EC teachers this month. We are making sure to share updates, communication with curriculum resources with them. We have also held lead teacher meetings for our EC, EL, and AIG. We actually had PD this month that focused on working with EC students in the classroom. Other PD that we've had for pre-K staff, K-5 teachers, social studies, and science. We've had ELA consultants in our schools working with teachers during this PD. We are focusing on communication and PD for our new K-12 science standards. We have just received the biology NC check-ins, and that is very late. We have not yet received the 5th and 8th grade check-ins. Our region met to discuss and share these concerns this past week. This Friday, we will meet with the superintendents in our region, and they will take our concerns to the state board. We are very concerned about they had a compressed timeline for the science standards, actually a year shorter than they typically take, and we're concerned with the communication on standards and alignment to assessment, so we will keep you updated on that. We know it's very frustrating for our teachers. We have held site-based data meetings at 20 sites and have completed walkthroughs at several sites. In testing, we had the pre-ACT for our 10th graders, the COGAT for our AIG identification in grades 4, 6 through 8, and also the Read to Achieve test that we take every fall for 4th graders. Schools are completing their first NC check-ins for the EOG and EOCs that we have at this time. The middle school honors course was held on October the 10th at Harnett Central Middle School. It went well. We had a great turnout and great performance. This week, around November the 7th, we're expecting teacher EVOS data. Upcoming events include the Harnett County Lego Robot Rumble. There's one for elementary and one for middle at Gentry. It's on November the 20th and 21st. It'll be from 9 to 12 each day. The All-County Middle and High School Band concert is November the 23rd at Triton High School at 2. And it is time for the 60-day North Carolina Early Learning Inventory Checkpoint. This is something we do with our kindergarten students. It's mandated by the state, and the due date for that is November the 22nd, so our teachers are working on that. This month, we've also provided comprehensive needs assessment and school improvement planning support for all of our schools. School leadership teams have had the opportunity to come in for extra support during this time. Report cards for K through 8 went home on October the 22nd. And report cards for 9-12 went home October the 1st, and because they're on 6 weeks, they'll go home again on November the 2nd. And that concludes my updates for tonight, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Ferguson? Thank you, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you.
Human Resources, Ms. Thompson.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, update on our vacancies. We currently have 18 base vacancies, but I am pleased to say that only 13 of those are regular classrooms. 2 of those 18 are athletic trainers. So we are significantly lower than we were last year this time. We had 25 vacancies, so that's, I think, good news. In our EC and other enhancement kind of classes, we're at 11, and last year we were at 12. And in classified, we have 40 vacancies, but last year we were at 44. Just to make you aware, 9 of those TA vacancies are regular TAs, and 21 are EC TAs, and 15 of those, again, were added since August the 5th, I believe. So some of those are new positions because of needs of students probably who have moved into the district. We have posted our personal care assistants that I spoke about last month. So I am hopeful that those will help fill some of these vacancies in the coming weeks. We are fully hired at several sites, including Anderson Creek, Anger, Benhaven, Bush Creek, Dunn Elementary, North Harnett, Star, and the Harnett County Early College. That is to be commended. Some other things we're working on, we are working with Mr. Pearson to implement the Protect Our Students training for all staff. It is that all staff members will watch a series of videos about employee misconduct and child abuse. They will be required to take a quiz when they have completed both. Teachers will facilitate middle and high school students watching the video on inappropriate employee behavior and signs of abuse, and each school will submit a form verifying that all staff members are trained. And you might say, well, gosh, we've talked about this before, so I feel like we have been ahead of this. We did provide our own training way ahead of this at the beginning of this year for our sites. And then Mr. Pearson was at a safety meeting, I believe, and this was introduced a little bit later, so our folks will receive, in some respects, double training, but I just think they'll be more prepared. So I think we've been ahead of this a little bit. We have that compliance training that I spoke about that all staff have had. We've made a recording of that, and it was added to the Safe Schools training, and now the new staff members will be able to listen to that when they are hired, when they do the rest of their new staff training. We are continuing to support new and returning international teachers. Tomorrow there's a technology day that we're working with the tech department on that. On November the 18th, we will hold our third international teacher PD session focusing on strategies and solutions for managing difficult student behaviors. Additionally, these international teachers receive a weekly newsletter that includes many professional development, updates from Harnett County schools, and important reminders and guidance on things like the DMV, so some of them are still working to get their driver's license, and other local resources to help support them through their first year. We also inquire them if they have any needs in that same time frame, so we try to touch base with them weekly on that. The recruitment and retention team continues to offer ongoing professional development, some of it virtual. They are working with mentors on a session called Mentor Magic. They are working with Pearson Prep Live. The target audience for this is elementary and EC teachers on the probationary license. And they also are doing a podcast. You know, in years past, we've done something called Teacher Talks for students, for staff members who have specific needs, and now they're trying to do that as a podcast. Safe Schools is around a 75% completion rate. We're still working through that. And transportation, met with assistant principals, and HR helped with that, who handle buses. And we did that in person for additional training on bus planner, Zone R, transportation information, and Infinite Campus, payroll, and the driver training process. And it was very positive, and so they plan on doing that again because we have a lot of new assistant principals and they felt like that was helpful for. We have 14 employees scheduled to complete driver training on December the 14th, or by December the 14th, and 21 additional that needs to schedule their DOT physicals and obtain their permits. I do want to continue to advocate that we do not have a driver shortage. We have a training problem in Harnett County. I watched the news maybe last week, and my antenna came up on my head because in Durham County, it seems that they have been allowed to have some of their staff members on staff to train for the DMV, and we are inquiring about that and to try to get our own provisions to do that. It has been a little difficult, but we've researched board minutes, and we're trying to kind of find our way to how that happened, and we'll be back to report on that in days to come. But I will say it's a desperate shortage of training in North Carolina for us here in Harnett County, because we do have enough drivers if we could get them trained. Tomorrow, CCCC will conduct information sessions for residency candidates. If you remember, I talked about that could be a possibility, especially for elementary teachers, to earn their teaching credentials at a much discounted rate. So that is tomorrow. We'll have 2 sessions on that at 9 and 1. The R&R team will be conducting an Indeed, which we're advertising through the Indeed platform, for TA and bus drivers. And that will be November the 12th through the 14th. And we are going to screen candidates for the principals and then try to have a pool to hire from for them. This is kind of similar to what we did with international teachers in the spring, and that works because sometimes principals are very busy, and then we get people who are qualified and we end up losing them in that process, so we plan to have that pool. We submitted the SS200 full-time personnel report on October the 29th. It has lots of demographic information in it for the district. And we will also host an information session for our bus driver only position on Monday, November the 18th from 4 to 5 at the Harnett County Library. Finally, I want to add that today, this is kind of hot off the presses. We looked to see how far along we were on our NESIS completion for our schools, as we've learned that feedback from Ms. Ferguson is critical for schools who showed improvement in their test data in the spring or in the summer last year. So we wanted to say that we have some schools that have done an outstanding job. So we did it in 80-20, and we pulled schools who are at 80%. And I will say, for the most part, our schools do look really great, but we have some schools that did an outstanding job. So 90 to 99%, Ben Haven, Coates-Ora Middle, Dunn Elementary, Harnett Central Middle, Highland Middle, Lafayette Elementary, North Harnett Primary, and Overhills Elementary, and 100% completion rate at this time of the year, which is really stellar, Johnsonville Elementary and Northwest Harnett. They are to be commended. That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Ms. Thompson?
And I forgot, we were going to hand out our culture and climate things that we've done with schools. You can take a picture of that and see some of the good things that are going on to build morale and draw people here to stay here in Harnett County.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Moving along to student services, Mr. White.
Chairman Jaggers and members of the board, inside of your board package, you will find the Star Academy report ending on 10/30/24, and the district release reassignment report ending on 10/31/24. Harnett County Schools has been selected as the first launch district in the state of North Carolina for Hazel Health and United Healthcare to provide mental telehealth services for our students. With this new service, students will be able to meet with a licensed therapist virtually for a therapy appointment if needed at no cost to our families. This will be an amazing complement to our district mental health team and will no doubt be a game changer for our families. The HCS Helping Hands Project Resilience will continue. As you recognize, when we first had the devastation out west, our school district did a tremendous job of pulling together resources to be able to take to Buncombe County. We're going to continue that trend throughout the holiday season as we have pledged to continue to partner with that area. We're going to send letters of encouragement in addition to much needed supplies to uplift our neighbors and strengthen their community. November is always a pivotal month for student support services, and as a district, we'll continue to promote the health and well-being of our students and families as we observe several important initiatives. As Superintendent Matthews mentioned earlier, November is the National Veterans and Military Families Month. As a North Carolina Purple Star school district, we are certainly committed to this initiative, and our schools are working diligently to be able to meet the needs of our veteran and military families across the district. November is also Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month, National Native American Heritage Month, and together, these initiatives provide a comprehensive approach to supporting our students' health and creating a positive school culture. And so we ask you to join us in making November a month of awareness, action, community spirit, and support for those who are in need across our district and around our state. This concludes my Student Support Services report for this evening, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Mr. White?
With regard to the telehealth services, will that be something that our kids access at home with their parents?
Yes, sir. So they can access it at home with their parents, and if necessary, they can access it during the school day. And so currently, our mental health technicians actually have a caseload of students that they meet with. But if it gets to the place, for example, if a student is at home and experiencing severe anxiety, or if they're at school and experiencing severe anxiety, they can connect with the school counselor or someone from the student services area who's there to be able to connect with that telehealth therapist to be able to support them during that time.
Okay, and like all our students, their parents are looped in on?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay.
And so Hazel Health and United and the Alliance Healthcare folks do an outstanding job of providing us with the releases and getting the permission. And so it's not something that we actually force on them. They have to certainly have the permission to do it. One of the school districts that we looked at in preparation for this is Alexandria Public Schools. And so they actually offer services for students and their families from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. And there's a slew of releases and things that people have to sign before they're actually able to be able to do that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you.
Moving along, Mr. Cox, financial report.
Thank you, Chair Jaggers, board members. Here are a few things we've got going on in finance here in November. Open enrollment for state health plan, concluded on October 25th. We had had approximately 95% participation of those currently enrolled, who re-enrolled in the state health plan. In November, first installment of supplements are being paid. Earlier this year, as you remember, the board approved increased supplements ranging from 6.5% increase for our beginning teachers up to 21.6% for our more experienced teachers. We're also changing how we process the supplements, so employees will see a little more in their pocket in November. With that said, IRS will still get their share, whether it's now or later. But we continue to hear how much we tax these additional payments, so we've made a change. Also, November's time where we get notified of anyone who has been newly certified or renewed their National Board of Professional Teaching Standards. So once we get that notification, we'll update those in payroll, so they will receive a 12% increase in pay based on receiving that certification. That 12% is based on the bachelor scale, so if they already have a master's, they won't receive the full 12%. So just want to caveat that. Also mentioned at the previous board meeting where October is normally the month where principals are recognized with a bonus of those principals who are in the top 50% of the state. We didn't have the names at that time. We did receive the names. We did pay the bonus in October, and I want to recognize those principals being in the top 50% of growth scores. They are Brian Graham from Bowie's Creek, Tracy Lebowski from Overhills Elementary, Renee Gilmore from Johnsonville, Jasmine Nixon from Harnett Early College, Marshall Jones from Triton, Nick Weeks from Western Harnett Middle, Britton Sullivan for Highland Middle, and Megan West for Dunn Middle. And I will let you know that Miss West at Dunn Middle was in the top 10% for growth scores. So join me in congratulating those principals for their work there. And that concludes my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Cox?
Mr. Cox, can you send us those names, please?
I sure can, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Moving along to the discussion item, year-round middle school. Mr. Matthews?
Ms. Ferguson is going to take the lead with this.
Yes, and Ms. Bird, I think you have a presentation to put up for me. It's on the agenda. So Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, tonight we just wanted to bring to you to share some thoughts that's been shared with us, and also to maybe request permission to do some more exploring. As you know, we've had a Lafayette year-round school for 2 years now, and I shared with you the benefits of the year-round school, so I'm not going to go into that today. You remember that when we made the decision. But just to let you know where we are, the first year we served 125 students in grades K through 5. This year we're currently serving 182, and that building, we're not bringing any huts, but for the building we have a capacity of 500. The school that we have is currently a single-track year-round school. And as you know, we have a calendar that is separate from the traditional calendar, but it runs very close to our traditional calendar. There's an example of the bell schedule that we follow at our year-round site. And then transportation, and Mr. Parker's in here if he wanted to add anything, but we base those on the addresses that the students are enrolled. We have an application process at the beginning of the year, a lottery in the spring for those seats. And we have pickups and drop-offs within community stops, correct? Okay. And those things would all continue in our year-round program. So our next steps, we feel like Ms. Hodge has got things running well and got it under her belt out there. So we'd like to look at the possibility of becoming a K-8 year-round school. For next year, for the 25-26 school year, we would look at adding grades 6 and possibly 7, depending on interest. And what we would like to do after tonight's meeting is begin an interest survey shared with the community. And if you click on that link, Ms. Bird, there's the survey that I would work with Ms. Farrell I'm sorry, with Mrs. Farrell, and we will put that on our webpage and our Facebook page. And Ms. Hodge could also share it with her parents. We try to get feedback to see if there is an interest in adding 6th and 7th grade. So some possible advantages. There's some research that says it enhances the pacing of instruction in a smaller learning community. There's research that says K-8 schools, the student achievement can be higher in that setting. There's actually a trend across the nation calling elemental for elementary and middle combined. If you remember years ago, for those of us who've been around a long time, there were K-8 schools. And then they came out with research and says, oh, it'll be better to have these children in their own middle school at this age. Well, now there's conflicting research that says, maybe not so fast. So that's why the elemental is growing in popularity across the U.S. We have several K-8 schools in our state. We actually reached out to a district down east that has several and got some information from them. But in other states, Kansas, Georgia, out west, different places, it is gaining in popularity again. And another possible advantage is fewer and more supportive transitions from 3rd to 4th, from 5th to 6th, whole middle school, elementary. Now, some possible disadvantages. Evidence that academic achievement improves is inconclusive. Balancing elementary school students with the middle school students. That would take a lot of work on the school staff, making sure we have things in place for that. Traditional middle schools can offer more flexible scheduling sometimes. And then, of course, with our middle school students, we'd have to be able to balance extracurricular activities and athletics if they were interested. So looking at the possible advantages and disadvantages, why are we looking at it in Harnett County? Simply because it gives parents and students another opportunity for a choice. We have an FAQ that we will share. I'm sorry, Jennifer, I thought you had access to that. So it does give parents all the FAQs that we had for the K-5. We added a couple for the middle school. For example, will there be clubs and opportunities for the students? Will there be athletics? And all of that is going to be dependent on the interest. We may have athletics, and we talk to different schools, and some do it within their own K-8 setting, athletics. Some, they go to the neighboring schools and participate at the middle schools, and some do not offer athletics at all, only clubs and enhancements. So we have a FAQ with what we know as of now to share with parents. We will know more once we do these surveys. So if the initial survey demonstrates interest, just a possible timeline, if you agree tonight for us to put the survey out there just to check parent interest, we would hold a parent information night in person and virtually in December. If you were to approve going ahead with a K-8 setting, a K-6, 7 setting, we would start accepting online applications in January through January and February, just like we do now for our K-5 students at Lafayette. We would notify the parents of the lottery results, just like we do with our current year-round setting, and the parents would have to accept a seat and confirm no later than February of 2025. And that's just a possible timeline. And then, of course, we will share information on our webpage and our Facebook page. Any questions?
Any further questions, Ms. Ferguson?
I have one, Ms. Ferguson. Looking at the possible disadvantage, and I do like the idea of the extending to the middle school, but under the possible disadvantages where it says balancing the elementary students with the middle students, and Ms. Hodge possibly could answer this, do we have sufficient room now at Lafayette, different hallways, where for the most part the older kids will be separate from the younger
We
elementary
do. We
students?
actually have a nice little, we have an annex we can use. We also have a nice little section. You could have a sort of like part of the office down there and part up front, like we were planning one time when we were thinking about the virtual setting over there. So there's lots of opportunities for them not to be together constantly. Wouldn't you agree, Ms. Hodge?
Thank you.
Throughout this whole year, I've received numerous phone calls about how great the year-round school is, and just this week or this weekend, I was receiving phone calls about hey, what do we need to do to make it a middle school? So I love the idea of exploring further.
Okay, great.
Well, I personally would like to, and I don't know if it takes one or not, but if we need to, I would like to make a motion to add an item to action and instruct them to proceed forward if we need to do that. I don't know.
I don't think we need one because they're just exploring at this point.
Well, I would like for them to go ahead and get the survey done and see, how many and get it started. I think every time you have another meeting, you're wasting more time, so. Do you need an official direction?
I think from what I've heard that we're okay to go ahead and have the survey and explore and bring the information back next meeting. So I think we're good.
I think the board is unanimous right now, as it's made up right today, that we all see the need, and I think it's a great thing to proceed forward with.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I did want to add that Ms. Hodge has been 100% supportive since day one of when I first approached her with this idea. So we're very lucky to have that.
And I will say, as the young lady that spoke tonight brought forward to us, and as Mr. Bate has followed up on, I have had several requests from parents wishing for us to explore this option. So I think we do have support in the community to at least look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on the next item.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Chairman votes aye.
Howell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Action items 12A, review and consider approval of the 24-25 budget resolution. I think that would be Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Chair Jaggers. Board members, since July, we have been operating under continuing budget resolution. This is the initial budget resolution for the 24-25 school year. It's comprised of all our funds. In your packet, you have more detailed information, but I'll just go over some of the highlights of the State Public School Fund, which is our Fund 1, is $155,895,806. Our local current expense fund, which is our Fund 2, is $33,297,203. Our federal programs fund, Fund 3, $27,504,052. Our capital outlay fund 4, $2,421,528. Our school nutrition fund 5, $12,093,500. Our Dunn Special District Fund, $459,869. And our local restricted expense fund, Fund 8, is $12,317,942. For a total initial budget resolution of $243,989,900. This is a decrease of $23,693,450 over the 23-24 initial budget. And I'll address that in just a second. As part of that, $243 million, the Harnett County Board of Commissioners approved a total funding amount of $33,225,834, which includes $30,804,306 in local current expense and $2,421,528 in capital improvement and capital outlay funds. The majority of that $23 million decrease is related to the expiration of ESSER funds and completion of those ESSER projects. But also, you may recall, as mentioned in previous meetings, how the low wealth funding formula had, or the property tax valuations had impacted the low wealth funding formula calculation. And so we had a $5.7 million decrease in that low wealth pot, which we've discussed several times, I mentioned. And I want to bring this out because I want to encourage you to reach out to your legislative members to encourage them for any legislative action they may be able to take to hold Harnett County harmless to the previous low wealth funding calculation. It was included in the House budget, the House version of the budget that went over to the Senate. However, the Senate didn't take that budget up. So again, I do encourage you to reach out to our legislative delegation to encourage them to put something in, if possible. At worst, hold us harmless for 2 or 3 years till we can work something out with the commissioners. I will say the commissioners have said they will cover the whole for 1 year out of fund balance, and we'll have to figure out how to handle the rest. So if the General Assembly could give us a 2 or 3 year hold to have conversation with the commissioners to work that out, that'd be great. At best, hold us harmless permanently. So again, just encourage you to work with our legislators there in the General Assembly if anything they can do for that low wealth calculation. Also, a couple things that are included in the budget I'll mention is salary increases for teachers, instructional support staff, and assistant principals and principals. As I mentioned in my update, supplement increases that you guys approved back in August. Salary increases for classified staff and central office staff as well. Also, changes to benefit rates that the state passes down. Increased charter flow through for charter school enrollments and changes in the per pupil from the county appropriations, and then state supplemental funds for additional teacher instructional support, which is our PRC 071 low wealth supplement. We do have those funds again to allocate later on in the year, and that amount was $1,595 per teacher last year. And those are a few of the highlights of the budget for this year, and do recommend you guys approving the initial budget resolution. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Item B, review and consider selection of firm for special inspections and testing, Lillington and Shawtown Gym. Lillington, Shawtown Gym.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, the next two items that you see are actually very similar related items. They are both for selection of a company to do the soil testing and various testing needed at the construction sites as we begin Lillington, Shawtown Gym expansion, and Flatwoods. These are what they call quality-based estimates, meaning that we are not working on dollar figures, but more on experience and quality of companies, and it's a rubric. That rubric is included in your board packet. Working with the architects and Mr. Matthews and various team, they've selected two different companies for these two projects. So the first one and the Lillington Shawtown Gym, they are recommending Building and Earth Sciences be selected as the group for inspections and special testing at that site.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
What was the basis, might be missing it here, for Building and Earth versus Terracon?
So the Building and Earth is a local company and has a little less experience. Their scores on the rubric you will see was a little lower in the scope of work. So we certainly wanted to give them an opportunity because they scored out well. Whereas Terracon, being that Flatwoods is a much larger site and project, I think their experience, was a little heavier weighted for us.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries, and we've got the information for the next one soon.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Item D, review and consider approval of Metcon contract for the construction of Flatwoods Middle School.
Members of the board, this is the contract for the beginning work on Flatwoods. You may recall we were doing a construction manager at risk. And so essentially here with Metcon, they would serve as this construction manager. The fees that they are allocating are listed on page 38 of this contract. We have been able to negotiate those fees downward a little bit from Irwin Elementary and North Harnett. They are percentage-based fees off the overall estimate of the job. We won't have a firm number of the construction project until we begin to bid out electrical and mechanical and all those things. So these are based off an estimate of $76 million, which is the current Metcon proposal.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and Second, any further discussion? Thank y'all for getting the fees down a little bit more. Chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143, 318, 11A, 1, A3, and A6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C, 321, to consider matters relating to the initial employment of an individual employee, and to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, motion carries. We're going to closed session. Are we good? You make your stuff first. After a motion in closed session, we return back to open session. Is any further business before this board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I need a motion to approve a recommendation of Ms. Tanya Williams for Assistant Principal for Star Academy.
Pursuant to the recommendation, motion to approve?
Second.
Personnel matter, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I would ask for approval of the contract amendment as recommended in closed session.
Motion to approve pursuant to the recommendation.
Second.
Chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, motion carries. I'd like to,
Mr. Chairman, I have a recommendation as well, I ask for a motion, is recommendation for approval of satisfaction of judgments. In 24 CR 233064, tax force one.
Motion to approve certificate.
Second.
chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to hire Mr. Matthews as the superintendent of Harnett County Schools.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Personnel matter, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Matthews. Any further business? Any further business? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. Chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. We're adjourned.